3 hours. Sometimes it is to have dialogue with their friends. Sometimes it is because a particular thing interests them deeply and they really are digging deep. And first, I want to make sure you have some monitoring software if you do have internet. So this way you can monitor what's going on with their internet usage. But second, I think it is a conversation that you have to have with the children in terms of really finding out, well, all this time that you're spending, what is it gaining you? Just calculate the amount of waking hours and the percentage of their waking hours that they're spending on those machines, and then it's sort of saying, all right, how useful is that for your life? You're using this percentage of your life to that machine. What is it giving you in return? Really have a dialogue about what does it mean, and start at the very least opening their mind that maybe it is a waste of time. And if it's a waste of time, they on their own will decide to do better things with their life.
Who cares? Who cares? I enjoy it. I'm at school a whole day, and I want to unwind. I see my parents also sit a whole day on their phone.
So there you go. I mean, especially if we're doing it, so will our children. So if they see you learning, if they see you davening, if they see you becoming more and more involved in your synagogue and your shul, they'll see what you value. If you spend time with one thing that I like to do with my children is play lots of games with them. And so we enjoy playing games with each other. And so that takes them away from other activities. And I take them to the mikveh, we go daven, we go learn. How do you spend your time with the children? Thanks for also helping me there. So here's a parent saying, in terms of a logical consequence, how about if a young child is angry, yelling, screaming, hitting, is it okay to send them to their room? Is this a logical consequence or punishment? What do you think? Okay, I hear it depends how you put it.
You're just trying to get them away from the situation, like if they're hitting their siblings or hitting their parents, you just want to give them that breathing space so they can calm down.
So I hear also it's a consequence. It's a logical consequence to remove them, put them in their room, because since they're already behaving in an antisocial way, right? It's sort of like excommunication. It's harem. Raise your hand if you agree with that.
I see they're having a hard time here in the kitchen with the other children.
But they're hitting, they're really angry, yelling, they're hitting. Okay, so one consequence can definitely be putting them in their room for some quiet time. Sometimes a child gets overstimulated and they start acting this way because they have too much stimuli going on and they're going crazy. And sometimes being able to be in a room by themselves, sometimes they just cry, and then they can come out, all right, I feel better now. Yeah.
It's okay to physically put them in their room? It's like they're not going to go to your room. You're not listening to their room.
Yeah, you can physically put them in the room. Sure. Yeah, sure, we can do
Try
it.
first to just tell them and see if they cooperate? Or?
Depends. It could be that you're seeing, my gosh, they're going to give a real big sets to their younger sibling, and you really need to separate them so you can physically grab them.
Would you command? How do you get them?
If they're behaving in that way, a command won't help. they're too overstimulated. It won't snap them out of it.
Right, if they're too overstimulated, but it's also possible they're just bored.
So I'm going to share with you this. Parenting does not have clear and easy answers on hypotheticals. When it's in real life and you're dealing with a real issue, that's when the art comes in. And even if you are a tzaddik, like Avraham Avinu, or Yitzchak, or Yaakov, they all had children who were trying to kill their brothers. I'm telling you how hard parenting is. The Eibishter spent an entire book in Chumash talking about parenting. And he was sharing, don't think it's easy. Here are some of the best. The father of Yiddishkeit itself, Avraham Avinu, had to send away Ishmael. Imagine. He had to separate because guess what? Ishmael would have killed Yitzhak. Sarah was right. You know, if you shoot arrows at a kid, that arrow may enter and kill the child. I mean, Yaakov, look at what Yaakov had to deal with. 10 of his sons wanted to kill Yosef. They threw him in a pit full of snakes and scorpions, then sold him to slavery. Brothers, born of a tzaddik. So I'm telling you that parenting is one of the most challenging jobs that we have, and almost none of us have been prepared for it. There is no licensing to be a parent. And yet here you have these precious neshamas, and we don't really know what to do. And I'm getting questions about, is a timeout a logical consequence? What are some logical consequences for misbehavior? See, these are good questions. And I'm going to share with you that answers to these questions require deep knowledge about your situation with your child, because off the cuff, I may not be speaking about your particular Chaya Mushka, because your Chaya Mushka is not exactly the same as someone else's Chaya Mushka. And your context is not the same. Because if it's the case that in your home you're telling your child, you know, I don't want you to spend so much time on your internet, yet you are the one on the internet, right? Then there's an issue. But what happens if you're in a home in which you're not spending the time on the internet, but the child is? That's a different scenario. What do you do then? What do you do if you're doing everything right? You're a tzaddik. You're a tzaddikus. You can't possibly understand how your child is Esau. How is that possible? It's possible. It's in our Chumash. It's deeply painful, so painful that, you know, he had to be blinded. Yeah.
I want to go back for a moment when you were starting a conversation with the child to take responsibility. And you began by asking a question. And the assumption was the child is going to say, get a new house.